All right. Good to see everybody this evening. Let me call this meeting to order. Russell, if you could please do the roll call.
Sir, Mayor Bright Cruz,
Here.
Vice Mayor Hartman, Councilmember Albritton,
Present.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Here.
Councilmember Kozinski.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Great, thank you. If you could join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we have on the agenda some quasi-judicial items. Any comments before we take that up?
Yes, Mayor, if I may. Russell, could you put up that photograph I gave you?
Yes.
For item number 3, the Lake House waiver of plat, there's an additional problem that has come up. The road, the one-lane bridge, was altered with these heavy metal plates, and the town assumed the cost of about $750 from Weekly Brothers to remove them. Apparently, the owner of the Lake House waiver put them in for heavy equipment purposes, and I think the town should be reimbursed for the removal of those. And I want to make that as part of a condition.
And I'm
moving forward.
assuming that they were put down without any permission from the town?
We knew nothing about it. We learned about it from the equestrian community after several horses went flying. 2 bicyclists went flying that I'm aware of. They were put on incorrectly. If you look up in the upper part of the picture, you'll see how they're overlapped as opposed to a butt joint
Right.
up against one another, and that caused a lot of problems. And everybody thought we did it, and we were really trying to figure out who
Right.
until we finally got out there with a crane several days later and removed them, that we found out where they belonged.
Excellent, great.
Okay, so
All right.
I'd like to make that enter that into the record, for that item.
I certainly would be in favor of that. I don't know if there's any objection to that or any comments from the rest of the council on that. I think we're
No
good.
objection?
Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, thank you.
So Mayor, if the council is inclined to continue this item, we would need to still read it into the record and then have a motion to table to a time and date certain.
Okay, so I think our communications to us is that this item was requested to be tabled, correct?
Sorry, yes, all 3
So
items,
I just want to make clear that we're not just doing that on
No,
our
no,
own,
I'm
but it
sorry.
was at the request
all
of
all 3 items on the agenda tonight that are quasi-judicial, item 3, 4, and 5, all were formally requested to be tabled. Most of the applicant representatives are actually in the audience tonight as well,
Good.
if you need any comment.
Thank you. Okay, so we need to read this item into the record, and then we'll look for a motion.
Okay, Mayor, the first item is a resolution and final order of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving waiver of plat application number WP-29-21 to subdivide 9.97 acres of property into 2 lots of 7.47 and 2.5 acres, generally located on the south side of Sterling Road, 1/4 mile west of Mather Boulevard, legally described as Tract 11, less the north 55 feet, and a portion of Tract 12 in the northwest 1/4 of Section 6, Township 51 South, Range 40 East, according to the plat of Chambers Land Company subdivision as recorded in Plat Book 1, page 5 of the Public Records of Broward County, Florida, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute any and all documents necessary to properly effectuate the intent of this resolution, providing for recordation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Russell.
Need a motion to table with the stipulations I made earlier.
Yeah, how do we want to do that, Keith?
Yeah,
Do we want to change the
I believe, is the applicant's representative here? Okay, perfect. So you heard the commission's desire, so I'm not really worried about that. So if you could just do a motion to table to a time and date certain, so they don't have to pay for re-advertisement, that actually would be more money than the cost of the plate removal.
Right.
So
Right. And do we know how much time they're looking for to resolve their issues?
it's July 29th at 7 p.m.
Got it. Thank you.
I'd make a motion to table with the stipulations to date certain, July 29th.
Second. Thank you. All right. Russell, if you can call the motion.
And just to clarify, it is including the cost recovery of $750 for the plate removal.
That's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. All right, so Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Okay, that item is tabled till July 29th at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, again, the next item similarly requested a tabling to July 29th at 7 p.m. And if the council is inclined to do so, Russell will read it into the record as well.
Yeah.
This is a resolution in final order of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving waiver of plat application number WP-32-21 to subdivide 4.866 gross acres of property into two lots of 2.003 and 2.863 net acres, generally located on the west side of Hancock Road, approximately 1,600 feet south of East Palomino Drive, comprising portions of tracks 39 and 40 of the Everglades Sugar and Land Company subdivision of Section 34, Township 50 South, Range 40 East, according to the plat thereof recorded in Plat Book 1, page 152 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County, and adjoining land, as more particularly described in Exhibit A hereto, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute any and all documents necessary to properly effectuate the intent of this resolution, providing for recordation, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Is there a motion on this?
Motion to table, date certain, July 29th.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Russell, if you can please call the question on this.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And finally, Mayor, this one also sought a tabling to July 29th at 7 p.m. And if Russell could read it into the record.
Excellent. Thank you.
Keith, just a correction on that. They're asking for it to be withdrawn from the agenda, not to be tabled to a date certain. They're not sure when they're going to come back with that.
Jeff, is Elizabeth the one for this one?
She is.
Elizabeth, you understand if you do that, you will be required to renotice and re-advertise. Okay. So if you could read it in and let them just accept the withdrawal for the record.
Okay. This is a resolution in final order of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving application number PL-57-20, the MP Holdings plat, comprising two single-family dwelling lots on 4.6 gross acres, generally located on the south side of Southwest 48th Street, 1,000 feet east of Mather Boulevard, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution and providing an effective date.
Mayor and Council, for this one, it would be just a motion to accept the applicant's request to withdraw this item from consideration.
I make a motion to withdraw, date uncertain.
Second. Great, thank you. Is there any discussion on this item? Okay, seeing none. Russell, if you could please call the question.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes?
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
All right, well, I think that sets a record for the fastest quasi-judicial we've ever done, but. All right. Item number 6, public comment. Do we have any?
Russell, do we have any cards? I haven't seen any.
I didn't fill one out.
If you could please, after the fact, so we have one,
Back, I'll fill one out.
one speaker, Mayor Newell Hollingsworth.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like the council to request of South Broward mosquito control for aerial flyover, because what we have out west is an extreme amount of mosquitoes right now, and I don't think just the truck going around and going poof, poof, poof is going to do anything, and we need the airplane. So if you could request that, it would be appreciated. Though I don't think the mosquitoes would appreciate it, but we will. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Newell.
Thank you, Mayor. No further public comments.
Excellent, all right. Okay, any board reports?
There are none, Mayor.
All right. Council member comments.
I'll go.
All right, thank you, Gary.
I have a lot.
All right,
Okay, so
we saved time for you.
thank you. Thank you. Thanks for everybody for coming. Several things I want to go over. One is just to let everybody know about hazmat at the barn on July 10th. That would be this Saturday from 10 to 2, and we're going to have shredding and prescription drop-off. I'm pleased to announce that we're going to have the DMV Flowmobile back on starting in August 25th. It's going to be by a reservation, but it'll be here at Town Hall from 10 to 2. So if you want to make use of that service, please call Town Hall to get that set up. There's a few things that I want to go over with that are going to invite some controversy, and I'd like to start some discussions on that. The first item I want to talk about is, we just went through the 4th of July. Fireworks were horrendous. Animals were scared. It was a nightmare for just about everybody.
Right.
Okay. Unfortunately, there's a lot of residents that think that the fireworks are okay, and that puts us in a bit of a quandary. We're pushing forward for a local bill with Representative Bartleman and stuff like that. I was wondering if we want to entertain putting a question on the ballot as a voter referendum, if you want us to pursue a local bill in Tallahassee on the next election. We don't have to answer it right now. I want to put that out there. We would lose a legislative year in the process of doing it. That's the downside. But there's no 100% insurance that the bill would pass. But I think if we had voter backing from an actual ballot question, I think that we would have more insurance on getting something like that, where we would be accepted like the city of Wellington, or the town of Wellington, whatever. If I apologize if I mispronounce that. But it's an approach, I think, that would let the voters decide if we should ban fireworks in our town during those 3 days. And of course, it doesn't involve just 3 days. There's a few days before and a few days after.
Yeah.
That goes on. And it's nothing we got to answer tonight. But I want everybody to, if you guys want to answer it tonight, we can. But I was just thinking of making it a voter referendum, and that kind of takes the pros and the cons out of everybody. Because I know there's a lot of people, judging by all the explosions that were around my house, that were residents from our town that do like celebrating the 4th and other days. So before we get to this, we want to put an all-out ban on it. I think we might want to consider that. So anyway, I'll listen to your comments, if you have any, as we go on. But I'd like to throw that out there. Another thing I want to talk about, David, you had a great idea back in January about moving the agendas with more time and getting more information out to the public earlier. But unfortunately, I think there's been a little bit of a backlash on that. And I would like to make a suggestion that we modify that a little bit. David's idea was good, and we're getting a lot of information out earlier, and we're getting a chance to digest it. However, I don't think we're giving the staff enough time to put together the proper agendas. We've had, so far since January, 50% of all the agendas, 50% now, had to be amended. It's very rare whenever we have an amended agenda. What scares me is somebody gets the first draft and never gets the second draft, and then makes a lot of assumptions based on the first agenda. So what I'm proposing on this is to give the staff a couple more days. So instead of pushing out, let's say, next week's agenda or next meeting agenda tomorrow, which will be based on probably a lot of things that we say and do during a meeting today, that we give them until like Wednesday of the following week. That'll give them time to collate the data, proofread it, correct any errors, omissions, things of that nature. I'd like to propose that we give them a couple of more days, to do that. So if you guys want to.
Can you be a couple more days above, I think it was originally a week ahead, so you're talking about maybe 9 days.
Correct. Yeah, it'd be like the following, by the following Wednesday. That would give them Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday to put together, Wednesday morning to put together the books. David, how do you feel about that? I know this was your idea. I don't want to usurp anything you may have, but I'm just seeing a lot of
Would you be
problems.
opposed? Would you be opposed to 10?
10 what?
10 days?
Putting it out on Tuesday?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, I just think
I'd be in favor of that.
the next Friday is
That's fine.
really
10 days should be fine.
I think, just my opinion.
Yeah.
I see where you're going, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm wondering if maybe the compromise should be that we put out the summary version of the agenda 2 weeks ahead of time. And, with just the first 2 pages, which gives the public the communication on what it is that is going to be covered for the most part in the meeting. And then, maybe 9 or 10 days ahead of time, we actually produce the first full agenda.
I don't know what's involved in that to answer that accurately. I don't know what's involved on Russell's.
Yeah.
Mayor, if I can just add to that, that's a great idea. However, the issue is sometimes we have items that are late submissions. And so even putting out the agenda summary, you may still not have an item that's been added to the summary. So while that will alleviate some of the proofreading issues that have happened and some of the backup documentation issues that have happened, if we're still adding an item on later on, that it's not going to make that initial version of the agenda summary either. So you're still going to have to amend even the summary to catch up. So that's just my 2 cents.
So my thinking is it's just adding 2 more days to the time that the staff can, and like David said, put it out on Tuesday. Give them a little, it's only 2 or 3 people, then they're trying to collate all this information.
Yeah. No.
And then you've got, Jeff Kadam's office, and then you've got Keith and, the legal part of it. I think we're just rushing it too much and it's creating problems when we can easily fix it by giving a little bit more breathing space. I'm really getting to hate these.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing them going.
Keep looking.
I get where you're going. I think you got a very valid point. I heard a lot of positive feedback when we went to the 2 weeks, so I'm hesitant to back off of it. But every point you're making is absolutely valid. So I'm not disputing.
Yeah, I'm not saying go back to what it was. I'm just saying just give it 48 hours, or a couple of days.
Yeah.
Like David said, to put it out on Tuesday instead of that gives Friday and Monday time to collate everything and,
Okay.
Are you guys okay with that or?
Yeah, Gary, my only concern about the whole agenda, the reason I brought it up
Yeah.
is when we have proposed land use changes and it affects a substantial number of residents. That's the whole reason I brought that up. The ordinances, we have sufficient time to prepare it. It's the land use changes that was the basis of my recommendation for that. And primarily, it had to do with the the proposed development along Appaloosa Trail and the Flamingo Corridor. All those neighbors, the HOA had to get very active and really didn't have much time. You had like a day's notice. And that was really burdensome to let the neighbors know, because not everybody follows up what's going on every day. But when it affects the residents within the immediate area, they're like, well, wait a minute. That's the reason I brought it up in the first place. But
And very valid reason, very, very, very good points made, I just, I just don't think we can get it out accurately enough. It was prior to that, we maybe had one agenda amended for an entire year practically. Now we've already done 8. Just trying to put the information together. So I don't see it as a hardship for another couple days, to be honest with you. So that's I'd kind of like to give staff some direction tonight on this one. If it's in a no-fly zone, okay, but it's we're seeing the repercussions of it as we move along. And I think it would really help out the staff.
Right.
So that's my thought on that.
We have 2 other folks that I don't think we've heard from.
Yeah, So I don't see a problem going to Tuesday or Wednesday, giving them a few more days, because, I mean, tonight's a prime example. A lot of these things are gonna carry forward
Yeah.
to the next agenda, and it's gotta be entered and proofread, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
Although, at the same time, we have had some contentious issues that people complain that they didn't have enough warning.
no, I understand that,
But we're
but,
giving them a couple, 3 more days.
yeah, good information is always better than bad
Right.
information, especially when people are,
The
making
sooner the
assumptions.
better. So,
you know.
But I'd support it.
How about you, Jim? You all right on it?
Yeah, Gary, there are issues that come up, like you said, that get tangled up and messed up, and giving the staff a few extra days to comply. I think the residents would understand that. I don't think there'll be any objections from the residents on that. So, yeah, giving them a few extra days wouldn't hurt anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, good. Thank you, gentlemen. I do appreciate that. And I have one more item I want to talk about, and that deals with the waiver of plat, the whole circumventing the platting process that we came up with over a decade ago. The original intention of that was to help our residents who would have large acreage and they would want to section off a portion of it for their grandchild, their brother, their family members, things of that nature. So we came up with the whole waiver of plat, which is a one-time splitting of a property where they don't have to go through the Broward County, they don't have to go through the whole platting process and everything like that. And I think one of the problems that we've come up, it's become a problem now is in the land of unintended consequences, is we're having speculators coming in and people coming in and buying larger properties and then doing the waiver of plat to avoid the platting process. And I mean, we're seeing, I think when we came up with this like 12 years ago or whatever it was, 20 years ago, the idea was we were going to see maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of these a year. And now it's several per meeting practically. And what I'm proposing is that we put a zoning in progress on the waiver of plat procedure. And while that, if you're already signed up for it, you're already in. But anything new, we freeze that and we send this to the Comprehensive Planning Board and have them weigh in on whether we should go back to original platting, which takes a lot more time and there is a significant more cost associated with it. But it would, I think it would keep us more rural, is what I'm seeing, because I'm seeing, and I don't know if you guys see it the same way I'm seeing it, is I'm seeing outside speculators coming in that are, the land is just going up and it's going up and it's just going to be nonstop. It's over 300,000 an acre now. And I just see this snowball effect on all the large pieces just coming in. And if we eliminate the waiver of plat, we've got Broward County now looking at it also. And could be times where we have a waiver of plat done, and then maybe 10 years later, a second attempt and nobody will remember it, or it won't get recorded. It'll get recorded wrong. There's always a chance that can happen. Whereas you have 2 sets of eyes if you're going through the platting process, us and Broward County. So I'm making a proposal that we direct staff to put a zoning in progress on the waiver of plat and then move it to the Comprehensive Planning Board, whether or not we should keep it or not keep it. Because I think we're going to be less rural if we keep it. And I'm trying to keep us rural, and I'm trying to do it in a legal manner. So, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that.
Can I jump in? Sure. So I was going to bring this up in my comments tonight as well, because if you recall in the last meeting, I'd asked.
We can't hear you. Yeah, speak to the mic.
I said I was going to bring this up in my
Oh,
Can you
okay.
hear me now?
Yeah.
I got to get this thing real close. I was going to bring it up in my comments tonight as well, because if you recall in the last meeting, I'd asked Keith some questions about it. And I saw this as a way to preserve our open spaces. I mean, all over town. You're right. All the big lots are now being divided up very quickly to build more houses.
Yeah, being scooped up.
Yeah, one of the benefits of it going back to the county as well is they'll be looking at traffic and all the other impacts, which we don't necessarily, I know we take into consideration, like when it comes to Archbishop McCarthy, but what impact is one house going to have additional to a particular street? But some of the places in Sunshine Ranches where you've got 3 or 4 10-acre lots that are looking to be subdivided now, there's an impact on the traffic on the streets. So I think it's a good idea to get a little bit more oversight on this from the county. So I support the idea, look at it, and I like the idea of going to the comp plan board
Yeah,
to hash it out.
Yeah, let them hash it out, but meanwhile, we put a zoning in progress to
Right.
to freeze that process, that procedure,
Yeah,
and until they come back with a recommendation and we either approve it or disapprove it. And, you know, I don't have a specific time limit in mind. I wanted to talk it all out with you guys, you know, and see, and get your thoughts, and thank you, you know, for your support, Bob. But I think this will help keep us more rural.
Yeah.
Because I just see land grabs going on in every which direction, and they're not there to, you know, they're going to try to get the biggest bang for their buck, you know, and I don't blame them. I would do the same thing if I was in that business, but we live here, and we're the ones that control the growth, and we need to, you know, granted it's residential, not commercial, but we have all the open spaces. That's why we all came out here, you know, and we're seeing it being gobbled up. All legally, of course, but we're seeing it being gobbled up left and right, and usually not by the same people that have been here for years and years and years. You know, it's speculators coming in, or you know, friends.
well,
of
like you
friends.
say, the intent of this was to allow, Freddie comes to mind for some
Right.
reason. I think he had done this so he could split it up for his son.
Yeah, all the.
I don't
best
see that going on anymore. It's either split to sell or sell, then they split.
Right. Yeah. So-
And I'm wondering if that's one of the things the comp board should look at. You know, I mean, there was a reason why this was put in the first place for those people that have been residents for a long time. Maybe there's a 10-year, you know, cutoff where if you've owned the property for more than 10 years, then it can be applied. In less than 10 years, you can't.
No.
Keith is shaking his head no.
No, there'd be an equal protection issue at that point. To let you know, it was never allowed by Broward County, the waiver of plat, until, when was it, Jeff? 10 years ago or something like that. And when the county finally allowed it, I think almost every municipality considered an item to authorize it to go from 1 lot to 2 lot, and that's how the town got it. The town also got it, you're correct, because people like Freddie said, I wanted to subdivide my lot to give my kids, you know, a lot and myself a lot, and I don't want to go through the expense of platting through Broward County. But the comments are also correct that those days are long gone, and now it's much more subdivision for sale.
It is.
So it's a policy decision completely, but you all put this ability for waiver of plats in your code, so you all have the full right with the 5-0 vote to take it out of the code.
Okay.
So that's my idea, guys, is to direct the staff to come up with a zoning in progress, and then once that's complete, move it to the comprehensive planning board with, and we can put a time limit on it with them.
No,
We can further discuss it. I mean, with it, and but let them hash it out, because I think it's pretty important. You know, I really see us losing. We're losing. I think we're slowly eroding our character, and we kind of did it to ourselves. And I'd like to see us reverse that, you know, if possible. You know, we're not saying you can't subdivide your land. You're
Right.
just going to have to do it a different way. That's really what we're saying. You know, Jim, you got.
Yeah, Gary, real quick, Gary, I'll stand up so I can see you.
Appreciate
We
that.
might be able to get these barriers down soon. Can everyone hear me? I'll speak up so you can. I'm going to piggyback on a little bit of what Steve said, that this was for our residents that had been here for a long time. And unfortunately, it's those residents who are selling off the property. It's those residents who had 5 acres or 10 acres, and they have an opportunity now to sell it off and have someone come in and build. Maybe not their kids, but someone else. And, there's still a few, I'm sure, that will subdivide it for their kids, but they're making a profit off of this. And I don't know how you would stop them from saying it's for my kids and doing it for the kids as far as speculators coming in and buying it like you said. I'd love to see it stay rural, but I don't know that you can disseminate between those that want to do what we intended this to do and those that don't. Keith said, you can't make it for some and not for others. So I'm just worried about hurting the residents that are here that want to do it the right way. We just got to be careful of that too.
Yeah, the problem with that is how do we make that distinction? And I don't think we can as Keith just said, it's a one way or the other, kind of thing. And that's why I think we should put it in, put the zoning in progress in place to buy us some breathing space, and then let the comprehensive planning board, work on it, and then come back to us, and of course we can kick it around ad nauseum on our end too, So, but I pretty much look like we have some sort of consensus. How do we move forward?
Sure. If it is the will of the council, what we would do is bring forward a zoning in progress resolution at the next commission meeting, so it would be on the 29th. Basically, it would state that any items that have been submitted up to this date will still be processed in accordance with the current code, but then any future item would be held in abeyance pending a decision from the council on either accept a modification of the code or keep the code as is. Your historical reviews on zoning in progress state up to 6 months is generally what you do, or sooner, depending on when you make your final decision. So if that's what you would like to do, we would just model the resolution the same way as the other ones.
Sounds like it. It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I see a question down there.
Keith, if I could ask a question. Way you're explaining it, and if I were a landowner that, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, maybe one day I'm thinking about dividing my property, and they see what we're discussing tonight, I can see a lot of people running up here, Town Hall, making all these applications before the next meeting. Is there anything that the council could do during this meeting
Yes.
to?
It's an excellent question. Jeff, I know Hollywood has it in their code. Did we also put in this code when we added the zoning in progress language to the code that on the night the council agrees to it, that it stops applications at that point, or is it upon the adoption of the resolution?
I'm going to check that right now, but I think it is the first of advertisement. I think as of advertisement, but I'm going to check that right now.
So let us check, give us a minute, because I remember I worked with Jeff on this probably 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So if it is advertisement, what we would do is we'd have an ad in how many days can we get an ad in? So in three business days, we can have the ad in, and that would stop it.
Okay. Gary, that would be something I would support.
Yeah, I think, we should move forward with this
It's
as
really,
expeditiously as possible.
Yeah.
That's the word I kept trying to find.
it's really interesting. I hear you and Bob and myself all had and Jim had issues regarding waiver of plat tonight, myself as well. I mean, I had discussions about people dividing their property, and maybe someday in the future the person could make changes to their property to make room for a barn. My idea was that if you're going to divide a property, you got to make room for a barn anyway. And I think many of my colleagues will agree with that. That was one issue that I was going to talk about tonight, but you're bringing up a much larger issue, and I actually agree with you.
Yeah, and we're not saying to anybody, no, you can't divide your property up.
Right.
It's just the process is going to be a change.
Right.
Is really where I'm trying to keep us rural, or, doing the best we can to keep us rural and keep the open spaces that we all moved out here for,
Right.
Mayor, just for the record, Jeff's recollection was correct, that it is as of the date of advertisement. So it will probably be as of Wednesday or Thursday next week.
Good.
That's fine.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm done.
Keep us rural.
Keep us rural.
I'm done.
We're good?
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
done.
That was great. That was great. Thank you, Gary. All right, who's next?
I'll jump in next.
All right,
I've
thank
got
you.
Just a couple of quick items. Just to remind everybody, next Tuesday night, Tuesday, the 7/3, we are doing our first responders photo up at the barn, first responders and frontline workers. We're going to get together up there at 5. I know they're going to have light refreshments available up there, and I think we'll probably be hanging out in the barn until we're pretty close to ready, because it's 90 degrees out there today at 5 o'clock, but we'll shoot to take the photo at about 5:30. If it's raining like it was today on 7/13, we'll do it on the 20th. If we're still raining on the 20th, we've got the 23rd as a final rain date, and if we've got to push it again, we will. Regarding mosquito control, Andy, can the town just call and get the mosquito airplane to fly over?
We can request.
Okay.
We
Because,
can't mandate.
yeah, for years now, it's always been they respond when they get enough phone calls. So my family, even my daughter who lives in Cooper City, has been calling every day now for about a week, because it's horrendous out there right now. So if, I know it's, I'm not sure, is it in the town newsletter, the phone number? If not, if you look up Broward Mosquito Control on the web, that's where I told my kids to look, so it's there. It's in my phone already.
It is in the.
311? All right, thank you, Newell. So, yeah, if you start calling, they'll respond when they have enough. I agree, sending the trucks around right now, or that's a fly swatter on an elephant, so that won't work. Regarding a referendum on fireworks, I've been grappling in my mind on this for a while now, because, Gary, I think it is an excellent idea to put it out to the people, because I know the community that owns livestock, any kinds of animals, don't want it. A lot of people with dogs don't want fireworks going off, but we were out of town this 4th of July, but my next door neighbor was saying they sat on the back porch and had a great show to watch. So there's a ton of people that are for it, and there's a large portion of our community that is against it. So I don't know if we should decide. I do think it's a great idea to put it on, the next referendum, which would be in ‑22.
Yeah, I really think that would be it would take us out of the loop, in terms of that. I mean, it's 4th of July, it becomes crazy, like, New Year's Eve and all that. I mean, I had, where I live, my in-laws who live further north, they brought all their pets to us. They said it's much calmer down here. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
But apparently it's crazy where they, all the zero lot line homes are, and all that, and every other house is setting off fireworks, which they're legally allowed to do on 3 days out of the year. But they said it's just unbelievable, what's going on. And as far as I heard a funny rumor that the supply chain problem with fireworks from China, and as I'm driving down from St. Augustine on last Friday, I'm looking at every fireworks billboard. It's saying buy one get 3 free.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no shortage out
No,
there that I
they had
could
'em
see.
stocked
And
up.
unfortunately, a lot of them were in my backyard, and so we had a lot of issues with the pets, but
It really is an issue, and in my mind, we can stand, if we turn around and say no more fireworks, half the town's not going to know about it, because they don't read the newsletter, even the signs, they ignore them because they're just another real estate on the side of the road. In my mind, if there's a referendum on the next ballot, people are going to pay attention if they have a side on this, and I feel for the livestock owners. I think Mary Ann brought it up at the last meeting. I can't think of the guy's name who lives across from UGAS who lost 2 horses last year. That's unacceptable. But, I don't know the right answer for this. The right answer is to stop it, but I'm not sure if that's doing the right thing for the entire community. So I think we should let the community decide.
So, Keith, what would be our next move on that would be?
So I've gotten in the past week, 2 weeks, a request by another council member to potentially propose a charter amendment to put it on the ballot. And I'm sure you guys are going to have several others as you go into charter review mode. I spoke to Andy. Sorry, Andy, I can't see you normally. I can look at you. Yeah. I spoke to Andy about this some time ago, and the belief was that all of these items should probably come before you in one ordinance, so that we're not piecemealing it every time a council member asks for a charter amendment. So if you're okay with that approach, what we're doing is we're basically stockpiling the things that you want on that ballot, and then we'll bring forward in one comprehensive ordinance for you all to strike through or approve or pass. If you want a piecemeal, happy to do it, but that was just a suggestion from your manager.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's appropriate that we pick a date that we discuss them all. I mean, we need to be able to kind of discuss them individually and pick and choose which ones go forward and don't. I don't want to just vote yes or no for the whole group.
So that being said, let's work backwards then, and Russell, if you can call the supervisors and let us know what their drop dead date is on giving them the charter amendments for the 22 ballot. And then we got to plan backwards to give you the drop dead date where we have to meet and then adopt the ordinance. And then we can, just announce the date now.
Perfect.
I'll get the date, but it'll certainly be June of 22.
Okay. So if we can even work backwards real quickly now. If it's June of 22, we're going to need a month for the ordinance because it has to be read 10 days apart minimally, so that's May. So probably by February or March, you want to have everything done of 2022.
Right.
So, and if that's the goal, we would have just a sole purpose meeting probably on the charter amendments so that it can just be a comprehensive meeting, and then you can decide what you want to go forward with. If that sounds good, we'll start working towards that.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Excellent. Just one last item. I think at every HOA meeting last month, Detective Hobalis brought up the amount of vandalism, car theft, burglary in cars that's going on in our town. It's not just here. Same thing is going on all around us. My daughter is a new resident of Cooper City. She couldn't afford our town, so she moved next door. But Cooper City is having the same problems as we are. Weston is as well. I have a friend over there who's telling me that, the gated subdivisions don't necessarily matter. These guys get in, they patrol the neighborhood looking for open car doors. And according to Detective Hobalis, if everybody locked their door, he probably could take a month off every other month because most of these are either people leaving their cars open or leaving their keys in the car. With the new fobs that a lot of the cars operate on, I just rented one for a couple of days. It's great. I keep the fob in my back pocket, and when I walk up, it senses the fob, it unlocks the doors, and I don't have to have a key. I just push a button on the console. If you leave the fob in the car all the time, it's always unlocked, and all you have to do to steal the car is push the button. So I'm going to put something in the Davian Ranches, the DRW magazine in the upcoming issue. We've got to pay attention to this. It's the easiest crime in the world to solve. Lock your doors and take your fob with you in the house. It'll save you a lot of hassle of a stolen car or whatever's in the car that's attractive to these guys. They've gotten guns from people. They've gotten tools. They've gotten all sorts of things. Very expensive cars. A couple of Mercedes have disappeared. A Range Rover. I mean, they're not after the junkers. They go into the nice cars and they either rob whatever's in them or they steal the car if the opportunity's out there. So.
Bob, if I could interject, if you could include in your article that people may want to purchase something called a Faraday bag.
Sure, I know what that
And
is.
they're not expensive, they're under $20, or
Yep.
$10, $15 on online retailers who I won't announce their name, but basically you put when you go in the house, you put your fob in there and that blocks the signal to the car. You know, because most places, the key is real close, the car is real close to where everybody drops their keys at the front door, you know, kind of
Yep.
situation when you come in, and that Faraday bag blocks that signal. You know, it's just a black velvet bag, but it's specially made to block RF signals.
I'll mention it. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Great, thank you.
Steve, I'll go. I don't have too much.
Excellent.
I'll save David for last. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, and council, thank you, staff and residents, I want to thank you for coming out. I am in agreement with Gary on the fireworks. They have become a nuisance. I spoke to a lot of the neighbors in my area. I live in Green Meadows, and we don't have the horses. We have a few, but we don't have many. We have some with the goats. So I spoke to them the day before and the day after they shot off the fireworks. And they all told me the same thing, that the 4th of July is a very special day to this country. I can see not abiding by the Christmas and New Year's Eve. I really don't care if they ever set fireworks on those. Those are not important days, is what I was told, to this country. The 4th of July means something. People died, the flag stands for that, and they're celebrating that. So it's hard to take it away. I believe if this does go to a referendum, I think that you'll see that the majority of the people, especially in my area, will vote against it, that they don't want any. So what we need to do is, if we make a referendum, we need to make it so that the majority of the people can live with it. I sure one night a year, and I know I'm going to make people upset, would be something that probably a majority of the people would vote for. But if you take them away altogether, I don't think that a majority of the people are going to vote for that. I really don't. You know, and that'll be, like I said, a referendum in 2022. Quickly, you know that I campaigned for traffic, and last month I reported to you that there was somewhere in the neighborhood of 156 citations written, and I'm proud to say that the month after that they really clamped down and people started slowing down. There was only 86 written. And I noticed in my area, the month of May, I think there was somewhere around 40-something citations issued in District 3, and this month they're down to 17. So either the people in my area are starting to slow down and getting hit in the pocketbook enough to where they think that you know, the fines are terrible, but it has made a big difference on 166, my street. That's a straight-through street. They may not be running 25, but they're not running 45 anymore. They backed it down to at least 35 mile an hour or so. So that is working, and I think that's wonderful. I see here that out close to 202, they asked for a traffic study. Traffic study was put up for a 5-day period. 700 cars went down the street, but that's a street that has a cul-de-sac at the end. So they estimated it was probably about 350 cars total, people going to and from work. And the speed out there wasn't enough to warrant extra precautions like either speed bumps or extra heavy patrol. It seems like to the resident, when a car is running 35 mile an hour down the street, that it's really flying. But when they do reach that speed, the officers will stop them, and they will either issue a citation or, you know, give them a warning. But I have seen a big difference, and I thank Jeff and the staff here for that. The radar guns that we bought made a difference, and they really enjoy using them. I know we have a couple officers out there that are real good with them. And lastly, I've been attending the hearings here, the magistrate hearings for people for code violations. And I do want to bring up, I know that the Drainage Board is working on fill issues, bringing in fill. And I know the towns addressed that to our level 1, level 2, level 3 fill ordinance for fines. There's a mixed bag on that, whether we should fine people or make them take the fill out. But I can see there's a lot of violations like that. So we need to do a little bit better job here at Town Hall, letting the people know that if you bring in fill, even if it's just 2 loads or 3 loads, that you can come to town here and get a permit for that. And we need to make it easier to get. We have a young lady here this evening that went through heck to get a permit, it shouldn't be that way. If you're going to do a level 1, it should be a whole lot easier to get than the hoops that she had to jump through to get it. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Jim. David,
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
welcome back, David.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. David Kaczynski, District 4. Thank you, everybody who took the time out of your busy schedules to come out tonight. It's really, really means a lot to see you coming out and see what we are doing up here and what the town is doing to help you, and if there's anything we can do to make your lives easier. Let me begin that back on July 3rd, I'm driving home, Sunday, going into work. I'm away home, and I got a call about horses loose, Sunshine Ranches. And I told the resident neighbor, actually next door neighbor, that I'd be there within 5 minutes. I was on 75, I was almost there. I arrived on Holity Trail where I spotted the horses. I immediately called Chief Bennett, who immediately took my call and said that he would send the volunteers on the way. Very receptive. I'm proud of the volunteers for immediately jumping on this. Davie Police was already there. They had, I guess, met with the property owner. I stopped on the side of the road and I looked at the horses and I was like, okay, they don't look startled, so I just got out of my car, walked up, grabbed the horse, one of the horses, and the other one followed, and no problem at all. I then called Chief Bennett, and he took care of things by calling off. But I want to thank Davie Police for being there on the scene, right there, right away. Chief Bennett, very responsive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. During the past week, I did get an image of Davie Police pulling somebody over. It may have been on Griffin Road, and they showed a radar gun image of the radar showing 106 miles an hour. And I'm like, what is this? 106 miles an hour. I can't grasp that speed. I just can't. But it was a reporting from Davie Police. I saw the badge from Davie Police officer. I don't know who it was. I just saw 106. I'm like, wow. About Bob, when you're talking about the various car thefts, I remember 2 years ago, Detective Hoblis mentioned at the HOA meeting that we had a Rolls Royce that was stolen in Sunshine Ranches. They scurried the wall, went up and saw the Rolls Royce, went up there, pulled the handle, and took off. Luckily, the Rolls Royce was nearly out of gas. They stopped at the Orion gas station in Cooper City, and as police officers were going by, somebody out of the corner of their eye saw a Rolls Royce, and they decided to phone it in, and it ended up being the stolen car. So, and I believe that one of the persons involved were apprehended. All right. I got, regarding the fireworks, Gary, it's something I very much will support. And, you know, we had, a couple of years ago, we had the 5-0 amendments. And I believe, just from the conversations I've had in around, not only just Sunshine Ranches, but elsewhere in the town, that a fireworks ordinance probably will carry a lot more than 70%. I had a call from a neighbor that said on July 3rd, fireworks are going off at 5 a.m. That's inexcusable. 5 o'clock in the morning, people are sleeping, and I think they just wanted, I don't know what was behind somebody, but it's something, Gary, I will very much support, something like that, but 5 a.m. is just inexcusable. I got a call also from the same neighbor on Hancock Road, but this is south of Sheridan, that he phoned in to Davie Police about illegal dumping that occurred today. And it was far more than it's allowed by the town. And Davie Police did apprehend or make contact with the individual that the individual or individuals that were doing the illegal dumping. And he just advised me of what he had done, and they had caught the individuals. On the waiver of plat issue, I think it's a very, very good idea, and as I said earlier, I think it keeps it rural. And I think that when somebody is looking at dividing properties, it's imperative that both parcels have sufficient space. Not telling them they got to do it, but that a future landowner will be able to build a barn on that property, because that's what our town's about, in my opinion. And I don't think, and that's what I think I was elected to do. Protect the agricultural, protect the equestrian community. Make sure I got through my list before I get to the bigger one. All right, lastly, we've had one of the earlier issues we spoke about and the council voted on had to do with the lane, the intersection changes at Sheridan and Volunteer and 146th. Looks like Pembroke Pines is looking at making some changes. They've been offered to make some changes to the intersection. Our council voted to oppose any changes with the U-turn at 146th. And we took the position that if there was a left turn lane made right at Volunteer, that would cause a lot more cut-through traffic on Volunteer. And the neighbors in Sunshine Ranches spoke with me about it, and it came out very strongly opposing the left turn lane coming right off of Sheridan onto Volunteer 148th. So as we've been going, and as I go at least twice a day, 146, take the U-turn, I don't mind doing that. If it makes less traffic on Volunteer, less traffic in our neighborhood, I think that's a good thing. Well, I learned that some of the neighbors on the other side of Volunteer, on the west side, actually want this. And there have been some contacts with people on the other side of 148, the west side, in the Davie area, where they actually want to do this. And one of the positions they took is that whether I make a U-turn to come home or a left turn, it doesn't decrease the traffic, which I disagree with. It only increases the likelihood that myself or one of our fellow residents will be T-boned by westbound cars coming off of Sheridan. And we made a request to the town, and I guess it went through Davie, to highlight the number of accidents in the last 3 years that took place over that intersection. I have a list right here if anybody wants to get copies of this. You want to come by and get it. I want to point out that there have been 11 accidents in the last 3 years at that intersection. In 2018, one accident involved a rear-end accident. Obviously, the U-turn wouldn't have affected that at all. There was an accident a little later in 2018 where a driver was making a wide U-turn at the 14700 block of Sheridan. It was determined that the driver of that vehicle was impaired. And when she struck the other car, she was arrested, issued a citation for causing the accident, driving with a suspended license as well. I don't think the U-turn, making a left turn, would have changed that at all. There was a minor accident where both vehicles were traveling west on Sheridan, and vehicle one tried to pass a bus and was sideswiped. Had nothing to do with the U-turn. 2019, a large truck made a U-turn in front of a vehicle that was already traveling westbound. Vehicle traveling struck the truck. The truck driver was cited for causing the accident. Once again, not caused by the U-turn. And this list goes on and on. Here's one where both drivers were traveling westbound on Southwest 148th Avenue. Vehicle 2 stopped at the traffic light before making the right turn to travel onto Sheridan. Vehicle 1 struck the rear end of Vehicle 2. Once again, nothing to do with the left turn. These accidents had nothing to do with having to do with the left turn. I'm still of the belief that the council took the right action in opposing this. And I've spoken with a lot of my neighbors in Sunshine Ranches to reach out to these neighbors on the west side of 148th Volunteer Road to show them, documented, the accidents that have occurred and how they're not being caused because of the easier access that they're proposing onto Volunteer. And I really believe that we took the right action in opposing that change of that U-turn to a direct access from a left turn off of Sheridan onto Volunteer. I think that was the best decision, or one of the early good decisions that we made by this council. And I still believe it. Mr. Mayor, I think that kind of wraps up my comments.
Great. Thank you, David. And thank you for all the efforts on that particular item. Really appreciate it. I'm going to pick up on that item. First of all, good to see everybody here this evening. This is the first meeting that we have without the Zoom, so we're kind of missing some of our folks, but it's great to see on a rainy evening that you all made it out here. Thank you. Yeah, on that intersection at Sheridan and Volunteer, that's really important to our community out there. I have sent notes to all the council in Davie individually to let them know that we would like their support in not allowing this U-turn. Two of those members of the Davie were very kind and called me back, and I had good conversations with both of them. This really falls into Marlon Lewis's district there, and so I had a good conversation with him, and he's going to be talking to the residents in Ivanhoe on the west side of Volunteer, 148 there. And so any contacts that we can make with those individuals in Ivanhoe and kind of let them know our concerns, because our concerns are mutual. You know, this is not something that we really should be in opposition about. It's about their lifestyle, the reduction of traffic in their area as well as ours. So anything that we can do there in a positive way, we don't want to, create any hard feelings or anything. But if we can get some good positive conversations to say that, listen, let's just band together and make it clear that we like it the way it is, that would be awesome. Also trying to get a phone call together with the mayor of Broward County on this issue as well. So we're working on it, but we've got work to do. This is not one that we are, can just glide along and it's going to go our way. We've got work to do. So anything we can do to continue to work on that would be appreciated. Fireworks, I agree. I think we're on the right path there and appreciate bringing that up. I appreciate Jim's comment as well that we need to be careful putting this together. It really, I personally feel like it needs to pass. It needs to pass. We need to, at the end of the day, we're a rural community, and so it needs to be worded in a way that we can protect our animals, and I think that's what it's about. So. Mosquito control, yep. I think we're already good there. Certainly support, making the phone call and having the town support doing that. That's it's pretty brutal out there right now. Couple other items. Just a reminder that this month is a little bit different. Normally, I have my mayor's call the Wednesday before this meeting, but just the way the start of the month goes this month, it's going to be this coming Wednesday. I've really enjoyed those. We've had some great conversations on those calls, so we'll be doing that this coming Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock. All the details for it are on the website if you'd like to join, and I hope you will. And finally, I wanted to do a shout out and a thank you to Joan Boyd. I think most everybody knows who Joan is, but she was one of the original members of the Rural Arts Board, and she has continuously served on that board for literally decades. So she has had some tremendous accomplishments. All the work that was done there, all the work that Ken Sameta did, but they worked together. And finally, just a year or so ago, it was all brought together and formalized in a book that now we can refer to and use
Her dedication to the town, that logo right up there is her work. And everything that she is, she really represents this town. I hate to see her go, but certainly respect and just thank her for all that she did. So I just wanted to thank her publicly for that. She's awesome, and we're definitely going to miss you, Joan. Thank you for all you did. And with that, I think we are good to go to legal comments.
Sure, Mayor, I'll be quick. I looked up on my phone for Councilmember Hartman, Vice Mayor. The number from mosquito control, for anyone who's looking for the actual number, it's 954-765-4062. But they do have an easy online form that I just filled out right now myself. Nice. So, and you're right, the power's in the numbers there, and they always say, keep calling as often as possible, and that gets their attention more than anything else. When you brought up a comment earlier, I just wanted to make sure everyone realizes if we work backwards for the charter amendments, you got like 6 months until all charter amendments have to be brought to the council for consideration. I know the council discussed making the charter review committee the comp plan board, and if that's still the desire of the council, I think we need to bring back the resolution creating that appointment sooner than later, if the council is okay with that. So that's something we would have to do like by next meeting or thereafter.
I certainly am okay with that. I don't know if let's get a quick consensus on that.
Yeah.
Everybody good? Any objections?
No objection. What about if we were to do it on a Saturday?
Well, I mean, I think that's up to the committee. I think we give them the objective and the time frame, and if they can do it in their normal meeting, normal meeting time, that's great. If they feel like they need to do extra meetings, then it's going to depend on their schedules. I don't think we could dictate that to the volunteers that are on this committee.
I was just thinking if the council could do that ourselves on a Saturday.
Oh, if we could do it. I don't know.
You mean as opposed to the Committee of Residents?
Sure.
I thought that was in our charter that it had to be done by residents.
The charter would allow you to do it. It just has to be, I looked again with Russell a minute ago, 5 or more voters in the town.
I think we have our shot after the input. I would rather get the residents involved, to be honest with you, David.
It's fine.
Steve, when will we pick these residents?
Well, it would be the comprehensive planning board, so they're already on there.
I'm not really in favor of that, to be totally honest.
Okay.
I think that it
That's what I'm
should
asking.
be residents, although the comp board, trust me, I was on that board, a great thing, but I think it should be maybe each one of the council members, a chosen person by each one of the council members that would represent that particular district. I'm not sure if everybody on the comp board represents a particular district. I'm not sure, what that would be, but I would rather see the council appoint somebody. That's just my feeling.
No, it's a valid point. I think Keith's made a great point. We need to move on this. We can't be, so I think we should make I think we need to make a decision on this, given Jim's thoughts. Anybody want to jump in? Does that sway anybody?
I originally suggested the Comprehensive Planning Board because I don't want to make this into a political football. We've already got the people appointed on that. And to Jim's point, I understand where he's coming from, but I really firmly believe that there's not going to be a lot done in terms of charter changes because we've gone through it so many times. And like I said on the outset several months ago, one of the only charter amendments I would consider relevant at this time is that we move it to coincide with the census. Every 10 years as opposed to being mandated every 4 to 5 years, which is what the charter, is at right now. But going to Jim's point, I see where he's going from, but I think it's going to turn into a political football. It did last December, and I don't want to go through that again, to be honest with you, like that. Okay. Those are my thoughts.
Bob, David, what do you think?
First of all, to divert off of my initial point, that these barriers,
They're terrible. I mean, they're functional, they're good, they were the right thing to do, but they're annoying.
I know. To have to look up, it's aggravating. Anyway, I proposed, and I asked that an amendment be drawn up that would limit appointments to advisory boards to residents. And I think that was something that was very important because of threats from developers that could end up getting a seat on an advisory board that probably would not have the keep it rural aspects in mind. That's why I was very interested in keeping residents on advisory boards, and that's in addition to something that Gary was looking at.
Right, but as far as the Charter Review Committee, are you, I mean, we have two proposals, one to use the comp plan board. Jim would be more comfortable appointing a new board for it. What's your thoughts on that?
I would like to take a lot of pressure off of that comp plan board. I know Jason's really has a lot of pressure on him with a lot of a lot of items that he's got on his agenda. And maybe if we have to appoint individuals of our selection on that committee, I think that I'd probably go that way.
Okay. Bob?
I was chair of the last, Charter Review Committee like 10 years ago. I can go either way. I think having a resident committee worked. We had Russell's predecessor as the person who was the liaison to Deborah Dory, and she did a great job. I just heard we have 6 months to get this done, to find people, to appoint a board, to get them started, go through the process of starting up the committee. I think it's not going to leave us enough time. I think it's more expeditious to go with the comp plan board. They already work well together.
Okay.
I guess I could go to the comp plan board if need be. With 6 months, that's a very short time frame. I mean, we look at it sitting up here. Okay, it's 6 months, but that's.
Well, yeah, so, you know, I think that we've got a good board in the comp plan board. I would certainly, that would be my plan A, to go that route. It's also, you know, we do have a limited time frame. I mean, 6 months is time. I don't want people to get the impression like we're going to rush it through. 6 months is a good amount of time. We talked about this 4 or 5 months ago, and we talked about in this time frame, July or August, to appoint the board or to, you know, make the decision that we're making now. So we're on target. We're not behind the 8 ball. We're not late. We're not rushed, but we're in the right time frame, and we've got 6 months to do it. And I think that this is critical, and this would go to the top of the comp plan board's agenda. This would be the main thing they'd work on. They just finished up the one item, and so I think this would be appropriate to go to them, and it would go to the top of the list for them, I think.
What we were also talking about as far as the changes to our plat waiver process going to them as well, and putting zoning in progress, which creates time urgency there as well.
Yeah, but I think this would still go to the top.
But let me ask, Keith, do we have to have it to the supervisor of elections in 6 months?
No.
We have to have it to them by June of '22.
So that's a-
So we were working backwards by saying February or March, it comes out of committee, it goes to the commission.
It'll take 2 meetings for us to pass it anyway.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
And then we have to take it and translate it into multiple languages and then send it over.
Thank you.
Steve, I'd like to remind that we did have a fire board that was put together a very short period of time, and they worked diligently. I was part of that board, had a great mix of people from east to west and north to south, and I thought they worked well together, and they understood the urgency when Marty explained to them how the fees, you know, how things were coming up, and I mean, that was done quite rapidly, and I think all the council members, if I'm not mistaken, chose an individual person to be on that board. I just think that the comp board's overloaded. I know they do a great job, but I think maybe a new group of people might see things a little different. That's just my feelings.
If I could chime in, Mayor. Well, both of the members that I selected for the fire board are up here on the council now, so I'm fresh out of people. So I like running with the guys. I like running with the guys that we have now, to be honest with you. I think the comprehensive planning board is more than prepared to handle this. They've got just a couple of items, and I think they can push us at the top of the list. The charter is not in any kind of bad shape. It's not anything that's, like I've said, we've done several charter amendments in the past without a committee, and I think this is, another set of eyes that can handle it.
Right.
I feel.
Right. I mean, what I'm hearing, and I'm not, yeah, go ahead, David.
Think we can ask public for some kind of input?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. We'll do that if you want to come up.
Okay.
But is there any other comment before we go to?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right, excellent. Yeah. Okay, let's open up to the public.
Bill Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. The Comprehensive Plan Board is mandated by the state that every 7 years to review the comprehensive plan in its totality and update it. This is the year it's supposed to have been done. We have spent the first 6 months on non-comprehensive plan items that the council has assigned to it. We are supposed to start and finish this year the complete review and update of all of the goals, the ideas, and review of those that are outdated and update the comprehensive plans section by section. If you've read the comprehensive plan from one end to the other, you know that it takes many hours for a single individual to do it. We have done it in the past by breaking it up among the board members, each section, and then bringing it back for the changes, working in conjunction with our legal department and our planning department, each individual. And it makes the individuals cognizant of what the plan is and makes an education for them and better board members. But we haven't had any chance this year to do what we are mandated to do by the state. And therefore, you're adding things to it, to the board, and we're having to put this off because you've got deadlines, but there's also state mandated deadlines. We have dates in the comprehensive plan that are 6 years out of date. We have ideas and goals that have been met. We need to make those changes. And we need to do them now because that's what the state says we have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Debbie Green, 5201 Southwest 199th. I would only say that if it does go to the Comprehensive Planning Board to do the charter review, that there's sufficient notice to all the residents, whether it's in the newsletter and throughout whenever those meetings are where they're going to focus on the charter review, because you probably have a very different group of residents who may have an interest in what may or may not be looked at for charter review as opposed to Comprehensive Planning Board, what you would think would normally be discussed at one of those meetings.
Right.
So, thanks.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, Marianne Allen, 12701 Mustang Trail. I've been following the comp board for the last several meetings, and what was distressing about it was that they weren't following the comp plan, which says to preserve, protect, and promote agricultural in our area. The nursery ordinance is a prime example of that, where it had tentacles into every aspect of agricultural life here in Southwest Ranches. How big of a pot you could sell, what you could sell. And they were micromanaging all our agricultural activities, which is not what we want to see and really what isn't in the comp plan. I think part of the problem is we don't have enough people that represent agricultural on your comp board. We don't have people that are running horse boarding or facilities. We don't have some breeders there we have a lot of goat farms. And one of the comments was, one of the members of the comp board made was, we should be all residential. And that really frightened me, that that person would have some say-so as to the way we proceed in the town. So if we could, with that overview, perhaps get some more people that are residents, that are from the agricultural community, that actually have living that they're making from agricultural, because this is the kind of view you need for the future of this town. And it's once a decision is made, it has so many ramifications in the future. And that's sometimes what we don't see. We say, oh, this sounds good now, but what does that relay 10, 20 years from now? So be very careful with what you're planning to change in our charter and who's doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Seeing no additional public comment, there's a couple public comment. Well, we've got a variety of thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, if I, I'm not stuck in the mud here. I mean, if it's the will of the council to pick another committee, I'm not going to sit here and lose sleep over it. But I do caution the whole political football, behind it, especially after you get thrown through a shredder.
Yeah,
because of
well, I guess
selections.
I would say this, that if we each pick one individual, and taking your cautionary words to heart, just we need to not be swayed. Pick people that we feel like have been here a long time and understand the rural lifestyle and are going to adequately represent what we want to do here in town. I think we would need to move quickly. We need to make the appointment at our next meeting in July, 2 weeks from today. And nothing's to say that you could pick somebody from the comp plan as well onto that committee if you wanted to. So I think every resident is open to this. So that's kind of what I'm hearing. Maybe it's the best way forward. We all right? We okay with that? All right. So let's do that. Let's make it a goal for each of us to come back in 2 weeks with a representative for that board, so we can get that appointed in place and get them to work as quickly as possible.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have one question. Will there only be 5 members, or will there be 2 alternates for if anybody was sick or absent? Would there be an alternate? Would there?
I think we can go with 5. This is a
Okay.
very short-term
Okay.
commitment. I think we can go with 5.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for that debate, because it's important for us in drawing this up. So the good news is your next meeting is not till July 29th, so you actually have 3 weeks to
Right.
make the appointment. And when Andy said, we have a little bit more than 6 months, we do have slightly, but we always like to get it to the supervisor early, because if there's an issue, which we've had years ago, it then got ping-ponged back to the council. You had to make changes and then get it back on. So that's why we're being a little bit cautious on the time frame.
Perfect.
So we'll get you a resolution on the 29th. That being said, I planned a quick vacation, so I just want to announce for the record that someone from my office will be here, but I'm actually going on a 2-week vacation, and because you all moved the meeting, I'm actually missing 2 meetings. I'm available by phone, but I apologize for that. So I just want to tell you when the meeting moved, that's what happened. Other than that, Mayor, I want to ditto your sentiments about Joan Boyd. A lot of people don't know this, but she showed me when I was young and had a lot of hair that if you look at the braid of the actual logo, that's where her signature is intertwined on the right side of the logo, so that everyone will always know that she had a role in creating the town's first logo.
Nice.
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right. Administrative comments.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and I'll be very brief as well. Just want to welcome you all back to our first real meeting without the Zoom. I've heard your
I'm going to take that. I can't see you, but I'm going to take that for.
I'm sitting up as tall as I can. I've heard your comments on the partitions, and we'll take that under advisement prior to the next meeting. I just want to let you know that while, you see a couple of members of staff here, the staff members that you're used to having in attendance for council meetings are here. They're in the hallway, just listening in. We're trying to keep the head count down in chambers as best we can, but they are listening and certainly available for any items that come up that might be relevant for them to come in as the subject matter expert. And other than that, Mayor, I'm good. Although I do want to thank Russell very quickly for filling in and sitting in my chair at the last meeting. It is very comforting to be able to go on vacation and know that your seat is filled and filled so competently. So thank you, Russell. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. And thank you, Russell, as well. All right. Very good. Item number 11. Russell, if we can read that into the record.
This is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, amending the text of the future land use element of the adopted Town of Southwest Ranches Comprehensive Plan pertaining to the compatibility of future land use map amendments, providing for transmittal to the State Land Planning Agency and other review agencies defined in Florida Statute 163.3184, subsection 1, subsection C, providing for recertification, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second on this item. I would just like to say that this is a really important item, and it is an item that was something we talked about during campaigning, and I was really pleased that it has gone through so quickly. What this does is this came straight out of the issues that happened in Sunshine Ranches when we had a developer come in and wanting to change the zoning on that property to zoning that would allow them to go down to 1 acre rather than the 2 acres. And this will stop that from happening in the future. It will, if there's an option, because they're next to 1 acre or 2 acre, they have to do the 2 acre. They have to go to the higher. So I always say that. I really it's the lower density. The higher, it seems backwards, but at any rate, the higher acreage, the lower density is what they have to do. And so this is ordinance in our comp plan. It sets it. So I'm really pleased about that. I'm glad that it's in there. Yeah, David.
Mr. Mayor, I concur wholeheartedly with your comments. 100% we ran on this issue.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. So it's good to see it in place. All right. Any other comments from the council? Seeing none. Any public comment on this item? All right. Excellent.
No
Okay,
comment,
seeing no
Mary Ann?
public comment.
No comment, Mary
Ann? Russell, if you can please call the roll.
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Item number 12.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving an agreement with Encompass CSI LLC to provide janitorial services at Town Hall, approving a 3-year service agreement with 3 one-year optional renewals, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to enter into the agreement and providing an effective date.
Excellent. We have a motion on this.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Just want to thank Keith and Sandy for the great job they did on this, renegotiating this contract. That's great. Really appreciate the work on that. I think we're fortunate to have the group that we have in Town Hall. They've been consistent. We've had very few issues with them, which in a lot of other organizations I've been involved with, a lot of times janitorial suppliers can be difficult. So I think we've got a good partner here and glad to see this going on. Is there any other additional comment on that?
I agree, Mr. Mayor. The prior vendor was nearly a startup corporation. I did a little research back when I was sitting in the audience, and I realized that they were just a brand new startup, and I was like, oh, I was a little bit hesitant at the time. These folks have been around for a while, and I think they're doing a good job.
Excellent. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Russell, if you could please call the question.
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Item number 13.
Item number 13 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a purchase order to Traffic and Parking Control Company, Inc. in the amount of $36,443.53 for the purchase of a double-sided message board, authorizing the town administrator to execute the purchase order, approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2021 adopted budget, and providing an effective date.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. I think this is one of the most effective ways that we communicate with the residents of our town, those message boards that are on the road out there. And so this is a good one. It's got two sides to it. And I think we've got some issues with the current one. Andy, I don't know, maybe you can speak a little bit to
Yeah, Mayor.
background on this.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The town currently owns 2 message boards. Both are getting a little long in the tooth. They've been in for service on a frequent basis. They're not holding a charge as long as they used to. And we had an opportunity to purchase this one via grant funding. So this is at no cost to the residents. And we're looking forward to getting that new message board in here so that we can get it out there. I mean, we used to leave message boards out frequently over I-75 to communicate all different goings-on with our residents. So as you said, it's one of our most effective tools. And we're looking forward to getting this in here and being able to better spread the word as we need to. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I just want to point out to the people that are in attendance that none of this revenue comes from the general revenue fund of the town. This actually was part of an FDLE grant. So this is not from your tax dollars to the town. And had it been proposed another way, I don't know if I would have voted for it at this time, but I do support this issue since it's coming from an FDLE grant.
Great point, thank you.
Mayor, I'd just like to say thank you to the staff that work hard to get this. You know, our staff is out there looking for every dollar they can get hold of, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
You know, that's a great point, Jim. We are really fortunate to have the staff that really scours for these grants. I know a lot of cities and towns in Broward County that are much bigger than us and are not as successful as we are in getting these funds. So we are very fortunate to have the staff we've got to do that. All right, is there any public comment on this item? Yeah, Mary Ann.
Again, Mary Ann Allen. I'm sorry that I was late tonight. Several of my colleagues were going to come, but the lightning storm and rain kind of delayed a lot of us. And I was going to make a presentation on something that was a liability to the entire town, residents, but I'll save it for the next meeting. I will keep this to the signage. Part of the problem was the police that came to my door this Saturday, and it was regarding loose horses. And we also talked about the problems that Davie Police has in our area, which I'll go into greater length next time. But part of the problem with the speeders, and she said, we give a lot of tickets. You know what the main complaint from the people that they give tickets to was? We didn't see the sign. There are not enough slow down signs, a lot of signs, 25 miles an hour. She said, and this is the biggest complaint she gets from people she gives tickets to. So if there were other grants or if you could scrape up some more money, slow down equestrian area, it's the law, more 25 mile per hour. And I want to congratulate Davie Police. I've seen them with the radar, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you, Mary Ann. Any other public comment? Seeing none. I think that's a great point, Mary Ann. We, many years ago, I'm going to say 15 years ago maybe, we changed the speed limit where if there is not a sign, the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. And, but putting more signs up to say it's 25 miles an hour, not everybody knows that. Plus, it was a long time ago. Additional signage on the speed limit, I think, is definitely something that we should look at, especially in those areas where we see real speeding issues. It may help control things. So thank you for the comment. All right. Any other comment on this item? Seeing none, Russell, if you could please call the question.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 14.
Item number 14 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, establishing a policy to regulate the utilization and administration of license plate readers, LPRs, throughout the town, establishing standards for the proper use and procedures to be used by the town's police services provider, authorizing the town administrator to implement the official license plate or LPR policy, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Great, thank you for that. Yeah.
Sorry, if I may, very briefly, this had originally been on the agenda a month or so ago, and the vice mayor had given us some additional feedback that we were able to take back and incorporate into, and so there's some changes in here from what you saw originally, and I do want to thank the vice mayor for his input.
Great.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for bringing that out, and thank you, Bob, for your work on it. All right. Is there any discussion on this item? Is there any public input on this item? Seeing none. Russell, if you can please call the question.
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Item number 15.
Item number 15 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, agreeing to piggyback onto the Clay County, Florida pricing for the purchase and installation of Landscape Structure, Inc.'s playground equipment and related products and services for the Sunshine Ranches Equestrian Park from Rep Services, Inc. in the amount of $27,931.66, authorizing the mayor, town administrator, and town attorney to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate the intent of this resolution, approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. December, can I ask you to just come up and just give us, we don't have the opportunity to kind of get an update on this, the park and this equipment, and kind of get an idea of how things are going and just what this equipment's going to help us with. If you could just give us a quick overview of that, I would really appreciate it.
Okay. That playground at the Equestrian Park is one of the 5 projects that we focused on with some extra money at no cost to the residents. But there are a number of items. That playground was installed in 2005.
Yeah.
So it's given us many, many, many good years with very little investment back in it. It wasn't cheap stuff. I mean, we bought good stuff, and it needs a facelift and a little bit of tender loving care that we just haven't been able to find money to do along the way. So we're going to replace things like, we're going to clean things that haven't been cleaned thoroughly. We're going to replace stairways and little bits of metal and things that have worn out their useful life. And when it's all said and done, we're going to spend this money with the manufacturer and their installers of the original equipment. And then a local playground manufacturer will do some cleaning and replace other things like S-hooks and chains and bolts and things that need to be done. When it's all said and done, the playground is not going to look brand new, but it is going to look a lot better. And there are certain implements of it that have, there's a cute little feature called a talk tube. I don't know if you have had your grandchildren out there, but it's the most amazing thing. And the tube itself is broken, so we're going to replace that and put some more mulch over it and just freshen it up, make it
Awesome.
safe and attractive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for walking us through that.
Yeah.
I may, Your Honor, I would
Yeah.
just will this, hi December, would any of this remedy any of the vandalism?
The vandalism was already taken care of.
Thank you.
And it's something, okay, yeah,
all I
we
needed
did
to
take
hear.
care of that. I
Thank you.
can't say that it'll, it's not prophylactically,
Sure.
that could happen again, and then we'll be out there fixing it again
Thank
if it happens.
Perfect. Good. Any other comments or questions for December? All right. Thank you, December.
Thanks.
All right. Any general comments from the council on this item? Okay. Any comments from the residents? Any public comment on this? Seeing none. Russell, if you could please call the item.
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 16.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from May 27th. Is there any discussion or correction on these? Seeing none? Russell, if you can please call the question.
Certainly, Mayor. Councilmember Albritton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right.
And
Thank
it's
you all
time
very
for
much.
adjournment.
That's excellent.
Motion to
Thank you.
adjourn.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the evening.